The gun was already in Marcus's hand when his phone rang. He stood in the private room of the Bellagio Hotel, adjusting his white tuxedo jacket, the weight of the Glock 19 familiar against his ribs. Outside, 400 guests waited. Inside, his father's enforcers lined the walls, ensuring today's wedding went exactly as planned. A merger, a treaty, the end of a 3-year war between the Romano and De Luca crime families, sealed with Marcus's marriage to Isabella De Luca, the ice princess of Chicago's underworld. But in 60 seconds, everything would change. In 60 seconds, a phone call from London would destroy his wedding, ignite a war, and send him running halfway across the world to save the woman he never stopped loving and the son he never knew existed. Before we dive in, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from right now. I love connecting with you all. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button because this story will take you on an emotional roller coaster you won't forget. The phone buzzed against the marble countertop. Unknown number. London, England. Marcus stared at it, his heart suddenly hammering against his chest in a way gunfights never made it do. Nobody from London should be calling him. Nobody except her, and she wouldn't. She'd made that clear when she disappeared 8 months ago without a word, without a trace, without giving him a chance to choose. "Boss, it's time." His second in command, Vincent, appeared at the door. "Your father is getting impatient." Marcus answered the phone. "Is this Marcus Romano?" A woman's voice, British accented, urgent, speaking English. "Who wants to know?" "My name is Charlotte. I'm calling from St. Thomas Hospital in London. I'm with Grace Williams. She's in labor. The baby is breech and there are complications. She's been asking for you for the past 6 hours. She made me promise not to call until it was absolutely necessary." The woman's voice cracked. "It's necessary now. The doctors say if they don't do an emergency C-section in the next hour, we might lose both of them." The room tilted. Marcus gripped the counter, his knuckles white. "Both of them? Your son, Mr. Romano. She's carrying your son." The Glock slipped from his fingers and clattered on the marble. Vincent rushed forward, but Marcus held up a hand, stopping him. His mind was racing, calculating. London was 9 hours away by plane. Grace was in labor. His son was dying, and he was standing here in a damn tuxedo about to marry a woman he didn't love to end a war he didn't start. "Put her on the phone. Now." "She's unconscious. She passed out 20 minutes ago from the pain. Mr. Romano, I don't know what happened between you two, but she loves you. Every day of this pregnancy, she's talked about you. She has your picture next to her bed. She named the baby already. She said you told her once that Leo means lion, and that a lion never abandons his pride." Something inside Marcus's chest cracked open. She'd named their son Leo. "I'm coming. Tell the doctors to wait. Tell them to do whatever they need to do to keep her and the baby alive until I get there. Money is no object. I'll wire $1 million to the hospital in the next 10 minutes. Just keep them alive." He hung up. Vincent was staring at him like he'd lost his mind. Outside, someone knocked on the door. "Boss, everyone is waiting. Get me a plane to London. Now." "Boss, you can't be serious. Your wedding." "I said get me a damn plane to London." Marcus roared and Vincent flinched. In the 5 years Vincent had served him, he'd never heard Marcus raise his voice like that. Not when they'd been ambushed in Detroit. Not when his father had ordered him to execute a traitor with his own hands. Not ever. Marcus straightened his jacket, checked his reflection one last time, and walked out of the room. The hallway was lined with his father's men, stone-faced in black suits. He walked past them, his stride purposeful, his face a mask. The ballroom doors were open. He could see Isabella standing at the altar in her white dress, delicate and beautiful and completely wrong. He could see his father, Salvatore Romano, the Lion of New York, seated in the front row, his expression one of supreme satisfaction. This wedding was his masterpiece, the culmination of decades of strategy. The De Luca family controlled the ports. The Romano family controlled the streets. Together they would own the entire eastern seaboard. Marcus walked down the aisle. Every head turned. Isabella's face lit up with relief. His father nodded approvingly. The officiant smiled and opened the ceremonial book. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today." "I'm sorry." Marcus's voice cut through the silence like a blade. "I can't do this." The room erupted. His father shot to his feet. Isabella's face went from relief to confusion to horror in the span of seconds. Her father, Antonio DeLuca, the Bull of Chicago, stood up slowly, his hand moving to his jacket where Marcus knew he kept a knife. "Marcus." His father's voice was dangerously soft. "What did you just say?" "I said I can't do this." "I'm sorry, Isabella. You deserve someone who can love you." "That person isn't me." "You ungrateful bastard." His father's voice thundered through the ballroom. "Do you have any idea what you're doing? This alliance is the only thing keeping us from another war. Then find another way." Marcus turned to face his father, and for the first time in his life, he wasn't afraid. "I've done everything you asked. I've killed for you. I've bled for you. I've given you my entire life. But I won't give you this. Not today." "Where do you think you're going?" Antonio's voice was ice. "London." The single word hung in the air like a grenade. His father's face went purple. "That woman? That British woman you were sleeping with? You're throwing away everything for some?" Marcus moved before his father could finish. In 2 strides he was across the room, his hand wrapped around his father's throat, slamming him against the wall. Gasps echoed through the ballroom. 20 guns came out of holsters, all pointed at Marcus's head. "Call her that again," Marcus whispered, his voice deadly calm, "and you'll die before they can pull their triggers. I don't care if you're my father. I don't care if I die right here. Call her that again." His father's eyes bulged, shocked. In 30 years of ruling New York's underworld, nobody had ever dared to touch him, not even his own son. "Boss." Vincent's voice cut through the tension. "The plane is ready." Marcus released his father, who collapsed against the wall, coughing. He turned and walked toward the exit. Behind him, chaos erupted. Isabella was crying. Her father was shouting. His father was screaming orders. But Marcus didn't look back. "Pause with me for a second. Drop a comment and tell me if Marcus made the right choice, and hit that subscribe button because the story is about to get intense. Your support means everything." 3 of his father's men blocked the exit. Marcus recognized them. Tony, Johnny, and Rico. Men he'd fought beside, men he trusted. "Move," he said quietly. "We can't do that, boss." Tony's voice was apologetic but firm. "Don Salvatore's orders. You're not leaving." "I'm asking nicely. Move." "There's 100 men in this building, boss. You won't make it 10 feet. Marcus smiled, cold and terrible. "Then I guess we're about to find out how many of them remember I'm the one who trained them." He moved like lightning. A strike to Tony's throat, crushing his windpipe before he could shout. A knee to Johnny's gut, followed by an elbow that shattered his nose. Rico got his gun halfway out before Marcus broke his wrist and took it from him. The ballroom exploded into violence. Men rushed forward. Marcus fired 3 shots into the ceiling, and everyone froze. "I'm walking out of here," he said, his voice carrying across the silent room. "Anyone who tries to stop me dies. Not because I want to kill you, but because nothing, and I mean nothing, is going to keep me from getting to London." He backed toward the exit, gun raised. Vincent appeared beside him, his own weapon drawn. "Boss, I'm coming with you." "Vincent, though, this isn't your fight." "With all due respect, boss, screw that. You saved my life in Brooklyn. I'm not letting you face this alone." They made it to the parking garage, where a black Mercedes waited, engine running. As they sped toward JFK Airport, Marcus's phone buzzed with messages. Death threats from his father. Pleading texts from Isabella. Warnings from other crime bosses. He ignored them all and called Charlotte back. "How is she?" "Still unconscious. The doctors are prepping for surgery." "How far are you?" 9 hours, maybe less." "Mr. Romano." Charlotte's voice broke. "I don't know if she has 9 hours." "Then you tell those doctors to make sure she does. Tell them I'm coming. Tell her I'm coming." The private jet climbed through the clouds, leaving New York behind in a blur of lights and consequences. Marcus sat in the leather seat, his tuxedo jacket discarded, his white shirt stained with Tony's blood from the scuffle. His hands were shaking. Marcus Romano, the man who'd orchestrated hits on rival families without flinching, the man who'd negotiated treaties with a gun on the table, was shaking like a leaf. "Boss, you should rest." Vincent sat across from him, concern etched on his face. "It's a long flight." "I can't." Marcus's voice was hoarse. "Every minute I sit here, she's dying. My son is dying, and I'm trapped in this metal tube flying over the Atlantic." "Tell me about her," Vincent said quietly. "In 5 years, you never once mentioned a woman. Then today, you throw away everything for someone named Grace. Who is she?" Marcus closed his eyes. And suddenly he was back there. 9 months ago. The art gallery in Manhattan, where he'd gone to launder money through art sales, where he'd seen her for the first time. She'd been standing in front of a painting, her auburn hair in loose waves past her shoulders, wearing a green dress that seemed to capture all the light in the room. She was writing something in a small notebook, completely absorbed, oblivious to the fact that she was the most beautiful thing in the gallery. "That's a fake, you know." He'd approached her, curious. "The original is in the Louvre." She looked up at him with eyes that saw right through his expensive suit and carefully constructed persona. "I know it's a fake. I'm not looking at the painting. I'm looking at the brush strokes. The forger was talented, but they rushed the lower left corner. See how the technique changes? They got lazy. Probably had a deadline. You know a lot about art forgery." "I know a lot about people who pretend to be something they're not." She'd smiled, dangerous and knowing. "The question is, what are you pretending to be?" He should have walked away. Every instinct screamed danger. But instead, he'd said, "Have dinner with me and I'll tell you." That dinner had turned into breakfast. Breakfast had turned into 3 days locked in his penthouse, talking and laughing and discovering that she was a graduate student studying international finance in New York for a semester abroad from Oxford. She was brilliant, fierce, unimpressed by his money or his power because she didn't know what he really was. For 3 months, he'd lived a double life. During the day, he was Marcus Romano, the lion's heir, feared and ruthless. At night, he was just Mark, the man who made Grace laugh, who listened to her talk about her dreams of opening an investment firm in London, who fell impossibly in love with a woman who saw the parts of him he'd thought were dead. "I love you," he'd told her one night in his apartment, her head on his chest, the city lights glowing through the windows. "I've never said that to anyone. I didn't think I was capable of it. But I love you, Grace. You make me want to be someone different." "I love you too." She'd kissed him softly. "But Mark, you never talk about your family. You never talk about your work. Sometimes I feel like I'm dating a ghost. Like you're not really here. There are things about my life you wouldn't understand. Try me." But he hadn't. He'd kept the truth locked away, convinced he could keep her separate from his world, that she could remain pure and untouched by the blood on his hands. Then everything fell apart. The DeLuca family had kidnapped one of his father's lieutenants. Retaliation was swift and brutal. Marcus had led the raid personally, storming their stronghold in Chicago. 12 men died that night. The news showed the aftermath: bodies in the street, blood on the pavement, and security camera footage of Marcus, his face partially visible, executing DeLuca's second-in-command with a single shot to the head. Grace had been watching the news when he came home that night, still wearing the clothes from the raid, still smelling like gunpowder and death. "Tell me that wasn't you." Her voice had been small, terrified. "Tell me you're not one of them." He couldn't. The lie died in his throat. "Oh my God." She'd backed away from him like he was poison. "You're in the Mafia. You're a killer. Everything between us, everything we shared, was a lie." "It wasn't a lie. Grace, please, let me explain." "Explain what?" "That you've been using me? That while I was falling in love with you, you were out there murdering people? It's not that simple. This is my family's business. I was born into this. I didn't have a choice. Everyone has a choice." She'd screamed at him, tears streaming down her face. "You chose to kill those men. You chose to lie to me. You chose this life. And I'm choosing you now." I'll walk away from all of it. Just don't leave me. Please, Grace. You're the only good thing in my life. She'd looked at him with so much pain it physically hurt. I can't be with someone who kills people, Mark. I can't love a murderer, even if that murderer is you. His father had made the situation worse. When he found out about Grace, he'd sent men to her apartment, not to hurt her, but to deliver a message. She wasn't safe. She would never be safe as long as she was with Marcus. Every enemy he had would use her against him. She was a liability, a weakness. And in their world, weaknesses got you killed. Grace had left America 3 days later. No goodbye, no forwarding address. She'd blocked his number, deleted her social media, vanished completely. He tried to find her, sent people to London, but she'd disappeared into the city of 9 million people like smoke. So he'd buried himself in work, became harder, colder, more ruthless. His father had been pleased. Good, he'd said. That woman made you soft. Now you're finally becoming the son I need. Then his father had arranged the marriage to Isabella. A strategic alliance. The end of the war. Marcus had agreed because what did it matter? The woman he loved was gone. He was dead inside anyway. What difference did it make who he married? But now everything was different. She's pregnant with my son, Marcus said, opening his eyes to find Vincent watching him. And she never told me. For 8 months, she carried my child alone because she thought I was a monster. Because I am a monster. Boss, you're not? Don't. Marcus's voice was sharp. Don't try to make me feel better about what I am. I've killed 37 men, Vincent. 37. I know because I remember every single face. So yes, I am a monster. The question is whether she'll let a monster anywhere near her child. His phone buzzed. Another call from his father. He declined it. Then a text came through from an unknown number. Your father has put out a kill order on you. $2 million. Every family in New York is looking for you. Thought you should know. Marco, his cousin. One of the few people in the family who'd ever shown him kindness. Vincent read the message over his shoulder and cursed. Boss, we need to call backup. We need protection when we land. No. No one else gets involved in this. When we land in London, you're getting on the next flight back to New York. Like hell I am. That's an order, Vincent. Then fire me or whatever you mobsters do, because I'm not leaving you alone in a foreign country with half of New York trying to kill you. Before Marcus could argue, his phone rang again. Charlotte. He answered immediately. Is she? She woke up. Charlotte's voice was thick with tears. She woke up for just a moment. She asked if you were really coming or if I made it up. I told her you were on a plane. She smiled, Mr. Romano. She smiled and said, he chose us. Then she passed out again. They're taking her to surgery now. The baby's heartbeat is getting weaker. You need to hurry. The line went dead. Marcus stood up and walked to the cockpit. The pilot looked up, startled. How fast can this plane go? Sir, we're already at maximum. Marcus pulled out a stack of bills from his jacket pocket. $50,000. He dropped it on the console. I asked how fast this plane can go. The pilot looked at the money, then at Marcus's face, and saw something there that made him nod. Buckle up, sir. This is going to get rough. The plane touched down in London 8.5 hours later, engines screaming as it taxied across the tarmac. Marcus was out of his seat before it fully stopped, Vincent right behind him. The cool British air hit him like a wall as the door opened, thick with the smell of jet fuel and rain. A woman stood on the tarmac, her blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail, her face streaked with tears. Charlotte. She had Grace's same cheekbones, the same fierce eyes. Mr. Romano. Where is she? St. Thomas, Hospital. 20 minutes if we're lucky. 40 if traffic is bad. They did the surgery 3 hours ago. The baby, he's alive, but he's in the NICU. He's not breathing properly on his own. And Grace. Her voice broke. She hasn't woken up. She lost too much blood. They're saying the next 24 hours are critical. Marcus felt his knees weaken, but he forced himself to stay upright. Take me to her. Now. They climbed into a black Range Rover, and Charlotte drove like she was in an action movie, weaving through London traffic with reckless precision that reminded Marcus of getaway drivers in Brooklyn. Vincent gripped the door handle, his face pale. "You said the baby's name is Leo?" Marcus asked, needing to hear it again, needing to make it real. "Yes. Leo Marcus Williams Romano." She insisted on both last names. Said if you ever came back into her life, she wanted him to know he came from both of you. That he belonged to both worlds. "Tell me about the pregnancy. Tell me everything." Charlotte's hands tightened on the wheel. She cried for 3 months straight. Threw up every morning and cried every night. She tried to hide it from her family, but I knew. I'm her sister. I always know. When she finally told me she was pregnant, I asked if she was going to tell you. She said no. She said you were getting married to someone else, that you'd moved on, that she couldn't trap you with a baby you never asked for. I would have come. If I'd known, I would have come immediately. That's what I told her. But she was so scared, Mr. Romano. Not of you, but of your world. She said she couldn't raise a child surrounded by violence. She said she'd rather do it alone than watch you die, or watch her son grow up to become like you. No offense. None taken. She was right to be scared. They pulled up to the hospital, a sprawling modern complex in the heart of London. It was chaotic, crowded, people everywhere. Charlotte led them through corridors that smelled of antiseptic and suffering, past waiting rooms filled with families praying and crying. Before you hear what happens next, drop a comment telling me if Grace should forgive him. And don't forget to subscribe because the next twist will blow your mind. Your support keeps these stories coming. The NICU was on the 4th floor. Through the glass window, Marcus saw rows of tiny incubators, each holding a baby smaller than seemed possible. A nurse approached them, her expression weary. "Are you family?" "I'm the father. Leo Marcus Williams Romano." "Where is he?" The nurse's expression softened slightly. "Incubator 7. You'll need to scrub in and wear protective gear. He's very fragile, Mr. Romano. He was born at 34 weeks. His lungs aren't fully developed. We have him on oxygen, but the next few days will tell us if..." She didn't finish. She didn't have to. Marcus scrubbed his hands until they were raw, put on the gown and gloves, and approached Incubator 7 with his heart hammering so hard he thought it might burst through his chest. His son. Leo was impossibly small, no bigger than Marcus's forearm, his skin pale like Grace's, but with Marcus's bone structure already visible in his tiny face. Tubes and wires covered his little body, monitoring everything. His chest rose and fell with mechanical assistance, fighting for every breath. "Can I touch him?" Marcus's voice was barely a whisper. "Through the ports. Be gentle." Marcus slipped his hand through the opening and touched his son's finger. Leo's entire hand wrapped around one of his fingers, gripping with surprising strength. Something inside Marcus shattered completely. "I'm sorry." Tears fell down his face, landing on the sterile gown. "I'm so sorry I wasn't there. I'm sorry your mother went through this alone. I'm sorry for everything. But I'm here now, Leo. Your father is here and I'm not going anywhere. You fight, okay? You fight to breathe and I'll fight to keep you safe. That's the deal." Leo's tiny fingers squeezed tighter, and Marcus chose to believe it was a response, a promise between father and son. "Mr. Romano." A doctor approached, his expression grave. "I'm Dr. Patel. I performed the C-section on Miss Williams. I need to speak with you about her condition." Marcus pulled his hand away from Leo reluctantly and followed the doctor to a private consultation room. Vincent and Charlotte came with him. "Miss Williams lost a significant amount of blood during the delivery. We've stabilized her, but she's in a medically induced coma. The next 24 to 48 hours are crucial. Her body needs time to recover from the trauma. There's also a risk of infection, organ damage. I want to be honest with you, Mr. Romano. The situation is serious. Can I see her?" "Yes, but she won't be able to hear you or respond." "I don't care. I need to see her." They took him to the ICU. Grace lay in the bed, looking smaller than he remembered, more fragile. Her beautiful pale skin had an ashen quality that terrified him. Machines beeped around her, keeping track of everything that was keeping her alive. Her auburn hair was in a messy bun. There was a breathing tube down her throat. Marcus sat in the chair beside her bed and took her hand. It was warm but limp. No response to his touch. "Grace." His voice broke. "It's me. It's Mark. I know you can't hear me, but I need to say this anyway. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything. I'm sorry I was a coward. I'm sorry I let you walk away. I'm sorry I didn't fight for you when it mattered. You were right about me. I am a monster. I've done terrible things. But you made me want to be something else, someone better. And our son, God, Grace, our son is beautiful. He looks like you. He has your strength. I can see it. Even though he's so small, he's fighting. Just like you fought for him for 8 months. Alone." He pressed her hand to his cheek. "I walked away from everything to get here. My family, my position, everything. And I'd do it 1,000 times over if it meant being here with you and Leo. So you have to wake up, okay? You have to wake up because he needs his mother. I need you. Please, Grace. Please don't leave me." The machines beeped steadily. No response. Marcus stayed there for hours, holding her hand, talking to her about everything and nothing. About how scared he was, about how their son had gripped his finger, about how he'd never known he could love something this much, this desperately. Vincent brought him coffee at some point, though he didn't drink it. Charlotte came and went, dividing her time between Grace and Leo. Other family members arrived. Grace's mother, a woman who looked at Marcus with suspicion and anger. Grace's father, a professor who asked if he was the one who'd broken his daughter's heart. "Yes, sir." Marcus stood to face him, exhausted and broken. "I'm the one who hurt her. I'm the one who let her go. And if she wakes up and tells me to leave, I'll go. But until then, I'm staying. I'm not leaving her or my son again." Professor Williams studied him for a long moment. "Grace told us about you. She said you were a dangerous man. A man involved in things good people shouldn't be involved in. Is that true?" "Yes, sir." "And yet you flew halfway around the world, abandoning your own wedding, to be here." "I would have flown around the world twice if I had to." The professor nodded slowly. "Then I'll pray for you, young man. Pray that God gives you the strength to become the man my daughter deserves, and pray that she wakes up to see you try." Night fell over London. Marcus refused to leave Grace's side. Vincent set up a security perimeter outside the hospital room, paranoid about his father's kill order reaching this far. But Marcus didn't care about that. He didn't care about anything except the woman in the bed and the baby fighting for life 4 floors up. At 3 a.m., Grace's fingers twitched. Marcus was half asleep, his head resting on the edge of her bed, when he felt it. The smallest movement. He jerked awake. "Grace." Her eyes moved beneath her closed lids. The machines around her beeped faster. A nurse rushed in, checking monitors. "She's regaining consciousness. Get Dr. Patel. We need Dr. Patel." The room filled with medical staff. They removed the breathing tube carefully. Grace coughed, gasped, her body convulsing. Then her eyes opened. Green eyes that had haunted Marcus's dreams for 8 months. They focused on his face. Confused at first. Then recognition dawned. Then tears. "Mark." Her voice was barely a whisper, raw from the tube. "I'm here." He gripped her hand tighter. "I'm here, Grace. I came." "Leo? Where's Leo?" "He's upstairs. He's fighting. He's strong, just like his mother." More tears fell. "You came. You really came." "Of course I came. Did you really think I wouldn't? You were getting married." She was crying harder now. "I saw the pictures. You looked so resigned. I was dying inside. Every day without you was death, Grace. And when I found out about Leo, nothing else mattered. Not the wedding, not my family, not the war it would start. Just you and our son. I'm sorry." She was sobbing now. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I was scared. I didn't want to trap you. You could never trap me. Loving you was the freest I've ever felt." The next 72 hours were a blur of hospital rooms, whispered prayers, and small victories. Grace's condition stabilized. Leo's breathing improved slightly. Marcus existed in a strange limbo between hope and terror, refusing to leave the hospital, sleeping in chairs, eating whatever Charlotte brought him. On the fourth day, the doctors cleared Grace to see Leo for the first time. They wheeled her to the NICU in a wheelchair, Marcus walking beside her, his hand never leaving hers. When she saw their son through the glass, she broke down completely. He's so small. He's so small. He's a fighter. Just like you. They scrubbed in together. Grace's hands shook as she reached through the incubator ports to touch Leo for the first time since he'd been cut from her body. The baby stirred at her touch, his tiny face scrunching up. "Hi, baby." Grace's voice was soft, broken, beautiful. "It's Mummy. I'm sorry I couldn't hold you when you were born. I'm sorry for everything. But I'm here now. We're both here." Leo's hand wrapped around her finger, just as it had wrapped around Marcus's. Grace looked at Marcus, and something passed between them. Something profound and terrifying and perfect. "We made him," she whispered. "We made this beautiful, perfect little person. We did." Marcus moved closer, his hand joining hers in the incubator. "And we're going to keep him safe. Whatever it takes." But safety was becoming a problem. On the fifth day, Vincent pulled Marcus aside with news that made his blood run cold. "Boss, we have a situation. 3 Italian Americans landed in London yesterday. I've been monitoring the airports. They're asking questions about you. About a hospital. About a baby. My father's men. Most likely. And there's more." Antonio De Luca put out his own bounty. $5 million. Every crime family from New York to Vegas is looking for you. They know you're here. Marcus looked through the window at Grace, who was sleeping in her hospital bed, finally at peace. He looked at the monitor showing Leo's stats, showing his son slowly getting stronger. "How long do we have?" "Maybe a day. Maybe less. These aren't amateurs, boss. When they find this hospital, they'll come in shooting. They won't care about civilians. They won't care about the baby. They just want you dead. Then we move. Tonight. Get me a safe house. Something off the grid. Somewhere they can't find us." "Already done. I have a place in Surrey, owned by a contact who owes me a favor. But boss, moving a premature baby and a woman recovering from surgery, the doctors will never allow it. They don't have a choice. If we stay here, everyone in this hospital is in danger. I won't risk that. I won't risk her or Leo." Convincing the doctors was impossible. Convincing Grace was harder. "You want to move our son? Mark, he can't breathe on his own yet." "I know. And I'm bringing all the equipment with us. I've already hired a private medical team. A neonatal specialist, 2 nurses, everything Leo needs. But Grace, please. You have to trust me. My father has sent killers. They're in London right now, looking for us. If they find this hospital, then you leave. You leave, and Leo and I stay here where it's safe. They'll use you to get to me. They'll take Leo. They'll hurt him to hurt me. Is that what you want?" "No." Her voice was fierce. "I want you to have never been in the Mafia in the first place. I want our son to have a normal father who doesn't have assassins hunting him." She was crying now, frustrated and scared. "Why did I let myself love you? Why did I let myself hope that maybe you could be different? Because I am different with you, Grace. I know who I was. I know what I've done. But I'm trying to be better. For you, for Leo. Come with me. Let me protect you both. Please." She stared at him for a long moment, and he could see the war happening behind her eyes. Fear versus love. Logic versus hope. "If anything happens to him because of your world, I will never forgive you. Do you understand?" "Never." "I understand." They moved at midnight. Leo was transferred to a portable incubator, monitors and oxygen tank carefully secured. A private ambulance waited in the underground garage, engines running. Grace was wheeled out on a stretcher, still too weak to walk far. Vincent and 2 hired security guards formed a perimeter. The drive through London was tense. Every car that got too close made Marcus's hand move to his gun. Every shadow seemed to hide a threat. But they made it to the safe house without incident. The house was modest by Marcus's standards, but clean and secure, a Tudor-style cottage in the Surrey countryside. The medical team set up Leo's equipment in the master bedroom, recreating a miniature NICU. Grace was given the room next door so she could be close. Marcus positioned guards at every entrance. For 2 days, they existed in a strange bubble of domesticity and danger. Grace recovered slowly, growing stronger each day. Leo's breathing improved enough that they reduced his oxygen support. And Marcus, for the first time in his life, played house. He learned how to change diapers through incubator ports. He held Grace when she cried from the pain and fear. He stood guard at night, watching the road for threats that might never come. On the 7th day, Grace found him on the small patio at dawn, staring at the English countryside. "Can't sleep." She moved beside him carefully, still healing. "I keep thinking about what happens next. When Leo is strong enough to travel. Where do we go? Back to America means death. Staying here means hiding forever. There's no good answer." "Grace." Marcus took her hand. "I've trapped you in my nightmare. Then wake up from it." She looked at him intensely. "You said you wanted to be different. Prove it. Walk away from that life completely. No family business, no violence, no looking over our shoulder. Just us. Just our family. It's not that simple. You don't just leave the Mafia. My father will hunt me until one of us is dead. Then you have to end it. Not with violence, but permanently. Some way that makes you worthless to him. Some way that makes you not a threat." An idea formed in Marcus's mind. Terrible and brilliant and possibly suicidal. "I know how to do it. But you're not going to like it. Try me. I have to give my father something he wants more than my death. I have to give him the one thing that will end the war with the DeLuca family and secure his legacy forever. I have to give him me. Not my death, but my complete destruction." Over the next 3 days, Marcus made calls. To his cousin Marco. To contacts in the FBI. To journalists. To everyone who would listen. And he did something no Mafia heir had ever done in the history of New York's underworld. He confessed everything. Every crime. Every murder. Every bribe. Every illegal operation the Romano crime family had run for 30 years. He recorded a video, his face clear, his voice steady, and he burned his father's empire to the ground. "My name is Marcus Romano. I am the heir to the Romano crime family in New York, and I am responsible for the following crimes." The video went viral within hours. The FBI launched the biggest organized crime investigation in decades. Arrests happened across New York. His father. His uncles. Dozens of soldiers and associates. Even Antonio DeLuca was brought in for questioning. The empire crumbled in days. Marcus's phone rang constantly. Death threats. Curses. His father called from federal custody, screaming that he was a traitor, that he'd destroyed the family, that he would die in agony for this betrayal. "You're right," Marcus said calmly. "I did destroy the family. But I saved my son. And that's a trade I'll make every single time." He hung up and blocked the number. The aftermath was chaotic. Interpol wanted him for questioning. The U.S. government wanted him extradited. But Marcus had been careful. He negotiated immunity in exchange for his testimony. He would cooperate completely, but he would do it from London. He would never set foot in America again. 3 months later, Leo came off oxygen completely. He was still small, still fragile, but he was breathing on his own. Thriving even. The doctors called it a miracle. Grace called it stubborn Romano genes. They were sitting in the nursery they'd set up in a new flat, one they'd rented under new names with new identities. Marcus held Leo against his chest, the baby's tiny body warm and alive, his breathing steady. "What are you thinking about?" Grace asked from the doorway. "I'm thinking that I destroyed a 30-year legacy in 3 days. I made myself an enemy to every crime family on the East Coast. I can never go home. I'll probably never see my country again. Do you regret it?" Marcus looked at his son, then at Grace. Not for a single second. She crossed the room and kissed him softly. "I love you. I've never stopped loving you. Even when I hated you, even when I was terrified of you. You're still dangerous. You're still broken in some ways. But you chose us. And that's everything." I'll spend the rest of my life proving that choice was right. Leo chose that moment to grab Marcus's finger again, his grip strong and sure. Marcus laughed, the sound strange and rusty from disuse. Your son has opinions about that timeline. Our son has excellent judgment. Later that night, after Grace had gone to bed and Leo was sleeping peacefully in his crib, Marcus stood on their small balcony, watching London come alive with nighttime sounds. His phone buzzed. A message from Marco. Father died in prison today. Heart attack. Thought you should know. Also, you're officially dead to everyone in New York. They've written you out of the family completely. You got what you wanted. You're free. Free. Marcus tested the word in his mind. For the first time in his life, he wasn't the heir. He wasn't the lion's son. He wasn't a crime boss or a killer or a weapon. He was just Mark. A father. A partner. A man trying to build something clean from a lifetime of blood. Behind him, Leo started crying. Marcus went inside, picked up his son, and began to rock him gently. It's okay, he whispered. Papa's got you. And I promise you'll never know that life. You'll never have to choose between duty and love. You'll never have to become a monster to survive. I'll make sure of it. Leo settled against his chest, his crying fading to soft whimpers, then silence. Trust, complete and absolute. Marcus held his son and made a silent vow. He would spend the rest of his life earning that trust, earning Grace's love, earning the second chance he didn't deserve but refused to waste. The Lion of New York was dead. In his place was just a man. A father. A survivor of his own war. And for the first time in his life, that was enough. If this story moved you, drop a comment telling me what you felt. And don't forget to subscribe because we have more powerful stories coming your way. Remember, in the end, we only regret the chances we didn't take and the love we were too afraid to fight for. Your support means everything. Until next time.